Okay, so our download's complete. So the next task is to launch the installer. Just double click it from your downloads window. You should see a security warning. If you see that, don't worry too much. It's just letting you know that you've run an executable from the internet. So your computer by default will tell you when you are running executables from the internet, because those can be dangerous. Those could be viruses, for example. But in our case, we know it's from MIT, so we're happy to run it. So simply click Next to install the application, go through the wizard. We'll see that it's installing it to program file Scratch. It's not a problem. We can also see that it's only going to take up 50 megabytes, so it's a very small application. So this is actually what we call a development environment. And development environments are us to write programming code. So in the same way that Windows Word, Microsoft Word, lets you write Word documents, letters, your CV, for example, development environment allows us to write programming languages. So I'm just going to launch Scratch now. So this is the main window in Scratch. And if you close this, then don't worry, you'll be able to launch it again by going into Programs and looking for Scratch. Now, if you're running Windows 7 or Windows 8, you might be able to just type it directly into the start menu there, Scratch, and it should appear for you. So this is the main window here. We have the game as it will run, or just a show. It doesn't have to be a game. We have a single sprite by default, and it's a cat. We can go ahead and get rid of this cat, and we can create new sprites. So let's have a random new sprite. Okay, so it's looks like some kind of a ship. Now, in programming, we have a list of commands, basically. So a computer program is made up of a bunch of commands, and computer programs can't deal very well with ambiguity, so every command has to achieve a specific thing. So here we can see the simplest command it's possible to give is the move 10 steps command, and we can double click to execute that command. And this script is obviously very simple, and all it does is move this object. And we can see a whole bunch of other ones. We can, for example, rotate it. And this little tool here will allow you to reset the rotation, and we can obviously drag and drop our script around. Oh, that's our sprite, not our script. So there's a couple of simple commands. We also have various other options to mess around with how to display this sprite. We can increase its size, we can decrease its size, we can make additional ones. So here we can see now we've got two sprites. We can draw our own sprites. So let me just rub that out. So we'll draw, for example, a smiley face. Let's make it a happy, smiling sun. It's not quite a very good yellow. So we could apply a gradient as well. So there's a happy, smiling sun. And we can change the background as well to have some nice grass. and some nice sky. Okay, so now we've got some basic components, it's time to start programming. But before we do that, we want to save the project. So if you press the Save Project button, you'll be able to save your projects. Now by default, this is in this directory. So if you don't know what a path is, I will upload a PowerPoint which explains what paths are. But if you go to My Computer, basically a path is the various folders which you navigate down to find your files. So in this case, it's telling me that my Scratch file is going to be saved in the C drive, which is that, in the Documents and Settings folder, which is that, in the User directory, in the My Documents folder, and then in the Scratch Projects folder. So it's buried quite deep here. So we might want to just say, let's create a new folder here. So going back up to the C drive, we can call it DLAD work. Now, if I click computer again, I might have to refresh that. DLAD work, there we go. So I'm going to call this simple project. Okay. Now let's have a look at adding some programming logic. So first of all, you'll notice our script has disappeared. We had a couple of those blocks. It's no longer there. That's because the blocks are associated with the various sprites. So this one here is the ship, and it's got these two. This one here is the sun. It's not got any. So if you can't find your script, make sure you double check which sprite you're in to make sure you're in the correct one. Now, it's all very well having these various steps, but we really want to be a bit more advanced than that. And the first step towards that is to learn when to start scripts. So programming is about a series of steps. And much like telling somebody how to go buy some milk, for example, you could say, I want you to go out the door, I want you to turn right, I want you to go down the road 100 steps, I want you to turn right into the grocery store, I want you to walk down to aisle number 3, I want you to pick up the milk, etc. Each of these is a very small step, and they have to be in the correct order, and you have to be very specific about them. But you have to first of all say when you want the computer to start the script. So there's various ways for doing that, and I'm going to show you two first of all here. So there's the when flag clicked start option, and there's when space pressed start option. And that there is the green flag. So when I press the green flag, anything I connect up to this is going to be carried out. And we're in the ship at the moment, so let's see if we can make it move to the left when I press the green flag button. So this is going to move it 10 steps. We want to move it a little bit more, so we'll move it, let's say 50 steps. Now this 50 here can be changed, and that's what we call a parameter. So when we get to Java, we're going to find out about parameters, and it basically means having a step which is carried out with a number that you specify, or a word you specify. So in this case, we're saying, I want you to do this activity, which is move steps, and the number I want you to move is 50. And we can change the number, but we can't change the activity. So this bit here, the 50, that's the parameter, and this bit is the activity we're doing at that step. So let's click the green arrow, and he moves. Brilliant. So let's look at some control structures. A couple of simple ones here. We can have a forever loop, and we can see here how we connect up the various steps here. So we can have forever move 50 steps. Now at the moment this is just going to make him zoom straight off, and he actually ends up going up a bit. That's because he's slightly facing up the way a little bit. So that's an example of one of the things you'll find in scripting and in programming in general. Often things happen that are a bit unexpected. So in this case, we wouldn't expect him to move up, but because his rotation is slightly pitched up the way, he's going to move up. And the ability to identify when something strange is happening and to figure out why it's happening is one of the great skills of being a computer programmer. So let's put in a small weight here. The way we do this is we just drag and drop the new control, and then we slide it in just like a Lego block in there. So this should now move, weight, move, weight, move, weight. Brilliant. And we can have the space key here. We can have that move in the other direction, for example. Now we can use the duplicate option here, or we could just drag and drop another motion. Let's just drag and drop one for just now. So if I change this to -50, and I change this to, let's say, 0.5, now we're starting to get a game on the go, because every time I press space, he's going to move left, and he's constantly going to move right. So let's see if we can do that. Okay, starting to look good. Now if you want to stop all your scripts, you just press the little red button there. Okay, so if we're going to be serious about creating a game, we're going to need some actual game sprites. We have to make it look a bit cooler. So I'm going to go find some open game sprites, and we're going to have a look at that.